your nation, your province, your southern Alberta. From the heart of Lethbridge, it's Bridge City News Weekend Edition.
Hello, I'm Naveen Day. Thanks for joining us for a look at some of our top stories and interviews from this past week. Ontario Conservative MP Dean Allison says his inquiry into COVID-19 vaccine injuries is going to be an eye-opener. Back in June, Allison announced he would be leading a nonpartisan, unofficial public inquiry focused on COVID-19 vaccine experiences. Thursday in Ottawa, Allison told reporters the response has been overwhelming.
More than 1,000 Canadians have stepped forward, many after years of struggling with their health, struggling to get answers, and struggling to navigate a system they believe was supposed to help them. Unfortunately, we simply cannot hear from everyone during these hearings. In September, we expect to hear directly from approximately 15 vaccine-injured Canadians, 50 vaccine-injured Canadians.
When I started to see very serious side effects in my own patients, within 3 months of the onset of the vaccine rollout, I had one patient who died suddenly after his shot. I had 3 people who were clearly going to be permanently disabled and a number of others who were seriously injured. So I sent an open letter to the British Columbia Public Health Officer, Dr. Bonnie Henry, to inform her of these safety signals. Her response was to refer this to her top vaccine safety specialist, Dr. Monica Naus, who assured me without any investigation of any of my patients that these were all coincidences.
Hoff was issued a citation by the BC College of Physicians and Surgeons in February of 2022 for publishing misleading, incorrect, or inflammatory statements about vaccinations. But he never faced a scheduled disciplinary hearing. It was canceled after the college determined it is no longer necessary to proceed because, quote, the circumstances around his citation have materially changed. This unofficial public inquiry is scheduled for September 8th to 11th on Parliament Hill. RCMP in British Columbia have launched a criminal investigation into the deadly wildfire that erupted in the province's Okanagan region a week ago. The fire exploded within hours of first being detected west of Okanagan Lake on August the 7th. It forced the evacuation of more than 20,000 people. Mounties say the probe was launched as a result of early information from the BC Wildfire Service, but they refused to elaborate during a media briefing earlier this week.
Certainly this particular fire is being treated as suspicious as every fire is until proven otherwise. As we know, my colleagues spoke to it earlier, that human-caused fire does not necessarily mean that it's arson or that whether this particular fire is human-caused. We're at the early stages here. It's difficult for us to even get into the area simply due to the fact that the fire is still burning. So early days, investigation's ongoing, but well in hand.
Meantime, BC Mounties did confirm an 80-year-old woman died during that evacuation of 20,000 residents in and around the community of Summerland near Okanagan Lake. Mounties say the woman died as she tried to escape the Bald Range wildfire in Meadow Valley west of Summerland. Authorities did not go into further details, but Summerland Mayor Doug Holmes described that fire and evacuation as being surreal.
You could just see flames. No matter where you looked on the horizon, it was just flames coming down, coming towards you. You know, it was quite a thing seeing 12,000 people all leaving at the same time, packing up their homes, and neighbors helping the elderly. There's some seniors, villages and residences in town that had to be evacuated, and buses were brought in. So it was quite an operation. I haven't been back, and it's the focus is still on the fire is still burning. It's still out of control. So that all the efforts are putting to get that fire under control before we can start thinking about letting people back. In times of crisis like that, the best in people come out, and we saw that with the evacuation. We saw how people helped each other, and we need to keep doing that. I think when we need to go back to a community, we might have to rebuild, but we'll do it, and by working together and being the good people that we are.
The Bald Range wildfire grew to about 156 square kilometers in size. The Canadian Armed Forces was put on standby to help the wildfire situation in British Columbia. It was like a scene out of a movie earlier this week when a Calgary police officer got shot during a traffic stop and the suspect ended up dead in the Bow River. It started just before noon when officers conducted a traffic stop on a vehicle in the southwest community of Spruce Cliff near Edworthy Park. Police say the occupant of the vehicle fired shots, striking one of the officers. The man then fled on foot, firing at officers and nearby civilians before carjacking a bystander and driving through the park. The vehicle became stuck and the suspect got out and ran before officers could track him down.
Thankfully, our Hawk helicopter was overhead pretty quickly. They were able to maintain eyes on the offender. I can't stress enough how difficult that was. The offender went right into the bush, into the heavy wooded areas, little to no view from our officers as well as from the air. On multiple occasions, our offender discharged rounds at our officers and our officers returned fire. Our offender is deceased at this point. We do know that he was subject to a self-inflicted gunshot wound. However, we cannot say whether or not any of our officers also struck the offender. Several members, obviously, teams were going in to try and locate the offender. They were yelling at bystanders to get behind vehicles, telling others to run. So no, it was very much a chaotic and dynamic scene.
Now, the injured officer is reported to be in stable condition in hospital. Police would only say the suspect was a known organized crime target, and the circumstances around the initial traffic stop are under investigation. The recent death of an 11-year-old autistic boy in Calgary has the Alberta government conducting a review of its emergency alert system. Parker Wells wandered away from a day home on July 16th. He was neurodivergent and nonverbal. A nearly 2-week search ended with his body being discovered in an underground drainage pipe. The government says public safety and emergency services will engage with law enforcement, disability advocates, and other community partners to examine emergency alert processes, including a review of the Amber Alert system and its current criteria. Amber Alerts are only triggered when children are abducted. Parents, disability advocates, and a number of politicians have signed letters and petitions demanding that there also be an at-risk or indigo alert that would broaden the criteria to include all missing children who are deemed at risk due to medical, developmental, or communication challenges, regardless of evidence of an actual abduction. A Calgary woman, Jennifer Ball, who has a nonverbal autistic child, has already gathered more than 38,000 signatures on a petition calling for indigo alerts. Hundreds are dead after a powerful 7.4 magnitude earthquake struck Western Colombia Monday morning. The epicenter was in San Jose del Palmar, a community of about 4,800 people, roughly 400 kilometers west of Bogota. The U.S. Geological Survey and its Colombian counterparts say the quake was located 107 kilometers underground. Dozens of buildings collapsed in multiple cities, including the city of Cali. Several of the top floors of one of the city's hospitals, some dedicated to pediatric care, collapsed upon themselves, leaving some patients trapped and forcing some 600 others to be tended to on the streets strewn with rubble. People were forced to evacuate their homes as far away as the capital of Bogota. Colombia's Geological Service says the initial quake was followed by two 2.8 and 4.8 magnitude aftershocks. The quake was also felt in neighboring Ecuador and Panama, though minimal damage was reported there. Back here on Canadian soil, the 2026 Special Olympics Canada Summer Games officially kicked off this week in Medicine Hat, bringing together athletes from every province in a gathering celebrating unity and inclusion. BCN's Landon Hickok was in the Gas City to cover the opening ceremonies on Tuesday and to capture the spirit of the week.
1,700 athletes, coaches, and support staff from 10 provinces and 2 territories had a triumphant march into Co-op Place on Tuesday night in front of thousands of supporters. The night was a long wait coming for the city of Medicine Hat, which was announced as the game's host back in 2021, and the energy is understandably palpable.
It is nothing but escalated excitement every day as we keep moving along in the games. Our community is doing exactly what I expected they would do. We're completely rising to the occasion. The athletes are ecstatic. Everything is going as planned. Always a lot of little hiccups, but we are putting out those fires as quickly as we need to. It's been great.
For athletes coming over nationwide, this means more for them than just putting in the hard work into the sports that they love.
It's just a surreal experience just all around, like with my teammates. You know, it was a long flight and a long bus ride, but it was well worth it for these divisioning games. I think we're really going to do Team Nova Scotia proud.
Oh, I just like meeting all the athletes from across Canada, making new friends, seeing some old friends that I've played with before, and it's just a really, really wonderful organization, Special Olympics Canada and International. It's just one of the best. It really changes people's lives.
We're really focused on working hard and playing soccer for the year. I'm really excited for the games. I want to win.
It didn't come without its challenges, however. Medicine Hat was due to host the games in 2022 until the COVID-19 pandemic ultimately postponed those plans. More recently, the WestJet labor dispute at the start of the month disrupted travel for hundreds of participants and other travelers that were forced to find alternative travel plans at the last minute. And that included flights affected from the BC wildfires.
Of course, Kelowna was impacted, so our BC folks had cancellations, but they were able to get in here at late at night. So we did get everybody between 7 in the morning and 3 in the morning on Monday morning. We were able to get everybody here safe and sound. So that did work out. It was an angst, of course, with the WestJet challenge initially, but it did come together and we did get everyone here safely. So perfect.
We were ready, but we didn't have enough players for our team. So we have 4 from Winnipeg and 8 from Westman. It's been hard. We had somebody to train in Winnipeg, train the athletes in Winnipeg and here. With lots of cancellations due to weather, and we live in Brandon, so there was a flood, and then high humidity and too big heat. So it's been really hard to get them together. But these guys love to play soccer. They love to play. It doesn't matter the weather. And here we are.
As the games push forward this week, it's a continuous reminder for many Canadians that community and unity is stronger than the hardships that come through life.
If anybody wanted to know anything about community spirit in Canada, this is the place to come. This is absolutely amazing.
For Bridge City News, I'm Landon Hickok.
Thank you for that, Landon. Are you dealing with stress or burnout at your workplace? Well, this next interview is for you. Jeanette Roche sits down with Rob Jetton of RTJ Wellness with tips to help boost resilience and morale. And if you're watching us online, that full interview is available on our YouTube channel.